Welcome to Arsenal Kids Podcast.
Hello and welcome to Arsenal Kids Podcast. My name is Madi and I'm joined by my co-host Ben. It is great to have you joined for this episode.
Yes, hello listeners. Hello Maddie. Welcome to episode number 171. It is great to have you join us. And Maddie, 2 big games and 2 big wins for the Arsenal over the last few days against Manchester City.
With both women's team and men's team recording important and impressive victories.
Yes, Maddie. So let's look at the women's team in part 1 and then the men's team in part 2. And we'll also talk about the men's team's transfer news towards the end as well.
A lot to cover in this episode.
And we'll get there in a moment. But a quick reminder to share our podcast with any other Arsenal kids, tweens, teens or adults that also love Arsenal, because we would love for more people to join our Arsenal Kids community.
We would love for you to join us on this adventure together.
We would indeed. And Maddie, straight to the women's team action. And with both the men's and women's teams playing City within a few hours of each other, the women, they were on the road as they lined up against the Citizens at their Football Academy Stadium. And head coach Renee Slagers made 4 changes to the team from the last outing, with Katie McCabe still serving her suspension from enthusiastically shouting at the referee. And Caitlin Ford is injured, meaning that Alessia Russo lined up with Stina Blackstenius and Beth Mead in a front 3, with Chloe Kelly, who is on loan, unable to face her parent club.
And Ben, what a game! And we scored inside the first minute.
What a game indeed. Our high press paid off instantly as a goal-scoring opportunity was presented to Mariona Caldente, who tucked the ball into the bottom right corner to open the scoring after just 45 seconds.
And then it was 2 not very long later.
A Cairo Cooney cross free kick was bravely headed into the net by Lotte Wubben-Moy for 2-0, and from there the game just kept delivering goal after goal after goal. Australian Mary Fowler pegged a goal back for City as she headed in a cross, and then early on in the second half, Caldente gave the ball away to ex-gunner Viviana Miedema, who tucked the ball into the net to bring the teams level. But that didn't even last long, as our Spanish midfielder then played in Frida Mornham on goal, and she nestled the ball into the bottom left corner to restore our lead.
But the lead again did not last very long.
It didn't, as City were awarded a penalty for a foul that happened well outside the box. And a bit like the game against Wolves for the men the other week, we went on to win, and the referee will no doubt learn from this, but with no VAR, despite the contact being clearly outside the box, the referee pointed to the spot, and there was nothing anyone could do. From that resulting then spot kick, Fowler scored to make it 3-3, and if you thought the goal scoring might be done,
you would be wrong.
You would be. Beth Mead found some space on the right-hand side and then put in a cross completely on a plate for Stina Blackstenius, who got there ahead of the defenders to side-foot it neatly into the net to make the scoreline 4-3. From there, we did enough to protect our lead and take 3 points from this game.
And what does this mean for the Super League, Ben?
Well, Maddie, it puts us in a good spot as we seek qualification for the Champions League, and we are currently in 3rd on the league table, 10 points behind leaders Chelsea and just 3 behind Manchester United in 2nd place, with at least the top 3 teams qualifying for the Champions League next season.
And Ben, is it true that the team play Manchester City again during this week?
Yes, Maddie, you are correct. We play City this time at home at Meadow Park, and this time in the semi-final of the Women's League Cup in midweek. And the winner of that game is going to face either Chelsea or West Ham in the final. So let's hope for a repeat of the performance from the weekend as we look to keep our cup run of over almost 3 years going.
Okay, well let's leave it there for part 1 and we'll be right back after this with part number 2. Welcome back, and Ben, straight to the men's team Who was faced Manchester City?
Yes, Maddie, with the men lining up at the Emirates against City, and the men's team must have been taking a few notes from the women's team because it took them just 103 seconds, so a little bit longer, but not that long in terms of football, for them to get their opening goal. And it was Declan Rice who caught the defender in possession, and then Kai Havertz laid it off for Martin Odegaard, who slotted his shot into the net, making it a very early
1-0 to Arsenal. Bow, bow, bow.
And Maddie, we then had the ball in the net thanks to Gabriel Martinelli, but the flag rightly went up as he had strayed offside in the build-up play. The game then settled down a little bit with David Raya being called on to make an acrobatic save from a City corner. But then came a moment I was worried as I was watching we would come to rue. And that was Declan Rice winning the ball high up the pitch, playing in Kai Havertz, and unfortunately, despite him having time, he dragged his shot too much, missing the target and missing a big chance for us to take a 2-0 lead.
And then, 10 minutes into the second half, City got a goal to level the score.
And it was none other than goal-scoring machine Erling Haaland, who got in front of Saliba, met a Savinho cross first and put it past David Ryan into the net to make it 1-1.
But it did not last long. Less than 2 minutes, in fact, as Thomas Partey pounced on a loose pass.
He did. Partey had time and space outside the area to wind up for his shot, and his goal-bound effort bounced off the bottom of John Stones, which took it past the keeper and inside the post, which caused the Emirates to erupt as we restored our lead.
And then was a truly magical moment.
Yes, some magic from Miles Lewis-Skelly, who on just his 11th start for the first team increased our lead with some individual brilliance as he burst into the box from left back, chopped the ball past his man onto his weaker right foot and smashed home a shot which was too hot for the City keeper to handle. The 18-year-old celebrated in glorious style, mimicking the Haaland celebration in a clear response to when the teams met earlier in the season and Haaland was dismissive of who Miles was. I think he now knows who Miles is, as Miles had him in his pocket pretty much all night when he was up against him. It was also, I think, particularly satisfying because of his ridiculous red card from last weekend was overturned, which allowed him to start and participate in this big game in this way.
But from there, Ben, the scoreline just got better and better.
It did, Maddie. With 15 minutes remaining, Thomas Partey launched a rapid counter-attack by slipping a pass to the on-rushing Martinelli. He carried the ball beautifully upfield, passed it to the overlapping Havertz, who did well to keep up with Martinelli, and Havertz, he took a touch to cut inside and on his left foot finished it low into the corner, which would have done his confidence wonders having missed that big chance earlier in the game. And then to add salt into all of City's wounds, it was 17-year-old Ethan Nwaneri who came on off the bench and rattled home what is now really his trademark finish as he took up possession on the right wing and finished off a passing move of some 40-odd uninterrupted passes from the Arsenal to stroke a left-footed shot inside the far post, making it 5-1 and lights out for City.
And what does this mean for the team, Ben?
Well, Maddie, it means we keep pace with league leaders Liverpool, who is still 6 points in a game clear of us at the moment. But for now, our attention's going to turn to St James Park, where we're going to be heading for the second leg of the Carabao Cup semi-final against Newcastle. We're going to need to overturn the 2-0 deficit if we want to book our place in the final. But we can probably give a little bit more in this game, noting we're then going to have 10 days of rest before we return to Premier League action.
Let's see what we can do now. On to transfer news. Ben?
Yes, Maddie?
Transfer news?
Yeah, I shared it all.
But you didn't say anything.
That is because, Maddie, unfortunately, there was really nothing to report. Despite our manager, Mikel Arteta, clearly telling us that we need to add players in particular a striker with Jesus out with an ACL injury and Saka also injured, the club were unable to bring anyone in this window, meaning that what we have is what we've got for the rest of the season.
What about the players going out the other way?
Well, Maddie, there is something to report there with academy player Maldini Kukuri joining League Two side Bromley on loan for the remainder of the season. The Albanian youth international made his first team debut in September of last year in the EFL Cup, and he's been on the bench for 6 other games, but the sturdy defender will continue his development at Bromley now for the rest of this season. The other player out the door, this time on a permanent basis, is Aidan Heaven, who has now joined Manchester United for apparently around £1.5 million. And the academy player was used a bit by Arteta over the summer tour of the United States. He made one first-team appearance during his time with the Gunners, and we now wish him all the best for his future.
Well, okay, well, let's wrap it up. Thanks again for joining us at Arsenal Kids Podcast.
Before we sign off, we want to express our gratitude to you for your continued support. If you haven't already, please follow, like, and subscribe so you don't miss us in the future. Remember, it's your love for the beautiful game that fuels our passion.
And we would love for you to spread the word about Arsenal Kids Podcast.
Yes, please share our podcast with other Arsenal kids you know and help us to grow this amazing community together.
We hope to join you back on the pitch again soon.
Keep the spirit of the game alive, and until next time.
Goodbye.